everybody. Welcome to the Hammer Museum. Great to see you. I'm Claudia Bester. I'm the Director of Public Programs here at the Hammer, and I want to welcome you all to today's Hammer Forum called WTF NFT. Today's series of discussions on NFT is for everyone who's NFT curious, but it's especially geared towards artists, and we'll be speaking with many artists who use NFTs as part of their work. We're hoping that today's talks can be of service to artists who may be wondering, WTF are NFTs, and should I be maybe thinking about making NFTs as part of my practice? I want to thank the Rosenblum family for making today's programs possible. And I want to thank our next two speakers, Esther Park and Nato Thompson, who have organized today's program and brought us this amazing lineup of expert guest speakers. Esther Park is the Vice President of Programming at Oolite Arts in Miami. Before working in the fine art world, as she has for the past 20 years, she was a journalist who wrote about music and art, which are twin passions that she stays immersed in to this day. Nato Thompson has vast art world experience as well as a curator and as a leader of incredibly influential arts institutions, most notably as artistic director at Creative Time, where he brought in very groundbreaking works and ideas. He's also a renowned writer of several books and innumerable essays. He founded an alternative art school, and now he's a partner in the company Artwrld.com. Nato and Esther's talks on NFTs at Art Basel Miami inspired the Hammer to bring them to the West Coast to lead the discussions here. We have 4 parts to the day. First, we will kick it off with an NFT primer of sorts, and then Nato's going to lead a panel with artists. Then we have a lunch break, and there's a list of local lunch spots on page 18 in the program that you got on your way in. Then we have an afternoon session with thought leaders from Web3, moderated by Esther. And finally, at 4 o'clock, we have a keynote address by artist and NFT pioneer Reggie Watts. And then we can all enjoy happy hour in the courtyard afterwards. All of this is outlined in the printed program that you received on your way in, and it comes along with a very handy glossary of NFT terminology that Esther and Nato put together. So now the two of them are going to come on stage and break it all down for us. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Esther Park and Nato Thompson.
Thanks, Claudia.
Hello.
Yo.
Congrats for everybody that woke up this early on a Saturday morning in Los Angeles. That's not a yoga event. So,
Hardcore.
Hardcore. All of you guys
Hardcore conference.
Let's go. Oh my God. There's Red Bull sponsorship outside, so just chug away because all we're going to do is talking about NFTs. Anyways, first things first, a big shout out to Claudia Bester for Programs Director at the Hammer. We love her. She is the glue I mentioned last night. Very delicious glue that keeps everyone together. And also the team.
Delicious glue. It's so early for delicious glue. All right.
I drank 2 Red Bulls. And then also the team, Carla and William, the programs team at the Hammer. Thank you so much.
Yes. Look at this place. It's so dope.
Yes. So, let's talk about monkey JPEGs.
Is that where you want to go
Yeah,
first?
let's go there. Who guys, show of hands, NFTs. Who owns one?
Oh yeah, let's figure.
Oh,
let's separate the wheat from the chaff.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
That's not bad.
That's a good ratio.
Okay, maybe let's get more hands. Who here knows a little bit about NFTs? Show of hands. Oh.
All right.
Wow. All right.
Who has someone much younger than you that knows a lot about NFTs?
Yes. We were saying our age demo, we should not be up here.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
we're more with WTF NFT. You would think we're more WTF.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're. For me, NFT means nice fruit tree. What about you?
I prefer fungible. You know, I've always thought it meant something with fungi to start.
Oh, fungi. Yeah. But yeah, one full disclosure, this is not a crypto conference. I know folks want to ask, what investments should we, but what coins? The market is tanking. What are we going to do? What's Mark Zuckerberg? We have none of those answers for you. This is the Hammer Museum, one of the most iconic art museums in the world, and we're going to talk about art. Yes, let's give it up for art, artists, culture.
I love that.
So that's the topic of today's sessions. And so yes, but maybe during lunch break, if you give me $5, I will tell you what coins to invest in. But other than that, but what do you think? Should we talk about what the F is an NFT?
Well, I think, just as a kind of to put the politics a bit on the table, I think something to kind of set the tone for today. And I think, we're starting with artists, because I always think with art conferences and when there's a lot of media hype about the arts, it's always good to start with artists and art front and center. And I say that because I've been in the art world for a minute or so. And let's just talk about the art world before NFTs and some things that happen, if that's okay. For example, have you ever looked at popular cinema's depiction of the art world? It's always this, just because you see a corollary in the NFT press. There is some idiot that just paints some stuff that their kid could do. Then all these wealthy people act all sophisticated in front of it, and it sells for millions of dollars. Do you remember this? This is
Yes.
this is from Simpsons to popular cinema. It's always this is the myth of the art world that's out there. So everybody has this myth that there's people that don't know what they're doing, making lots of money, and it's a big sham. Is that
Sounds
not
about
the
right.
popular image of NFTs?
Yes.
Is this not a replay of the art world 2.0? Yeah, so the art world, there are also things called artists making art that aren't making lots of money, and that there are valid things. And I always feel like you can spend a lot of time in your life hating the public image of things you also hate. That's not a good way to live your life.
Preach, Nato. Dang.
Well, I just feel like the NFT thing has a lot of bad hype around it, and you can spend a lot of conversation on the stuff you don't like. Or, for example, politics. You can have a great political discussion about all the stuff you hate. Maybe that feels good. But what about the stuff you like? Today, we're going to talk about what we like.
Agreed. And I love cats. So hopefully we can talk about crypto kitties. Yay.
Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about CryptoKitties.
Okay, good.
I like those.
Do you have your clicker?
Oh, wait, don't even have the clicker. Shoot. Yes, hold on. Here it goes.
I'm his-
So we're going
I'm
to
his
first.
agent.
So here's the funny thing. We're going to do a little primer. This isn't a how-to, but we're going to just tell you some basic things about blockchain, and we'll also talk about NFTs. So there's this video with a guy with a very convincing British accent so that you feel like it's authoritative. But we do think it's useful to just get us somewhat on a same page. So let's do that.
So I'm going to describe what an NFT is in the most basic terms I can. NFT stands for non-fungible token. Fungible means something is able to be exchanged or substituted and will hold the same value. It's interchangeable, like the dollar, gold, casino chips, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or frequent flyer loyalty points. If I lend you $10 cash and you return to me 2 $5 banknotes, I'm fine with that because even though they are different, they hold the same total value. They're fungible. So non-fungible obviously means it's an asset that can't be substituted. It has unique attributes that make it different from something else in the same asset class, like a painting, a theatre ticket, a house, a video game skin, a trademark, or a CryptoKitty, which was the first real use case to take off on the Ethereum blockchain in 2017. Some of these assets are physical and tangible, and others are digital and intangible. So NFTs are non-fungible tokens. Token refers to a digital certificate stored on a secure distributed database called a blockchain. So NFTs are digital assets, publicly verifiable intellectual property authenticated on a blockchain. A popular place to currently browse a variety of NFTs is on OpenSea.io. It's an exciting space. I believe the NFT space will continue to grow in the coming years, with some popular use cases being digital art, virtual land, gaming, collectibles, finance, and much more. I thought this was worth explaining because I think we'll be talking a lot more about this in the coming years.
Well, thank you, uncredited source.
Nato. I think his accent's Australian, now that I think about it.
Oh my God, Scott!
Even more authoritative.
I'm sorry, Scott, my Australian friend in the front. All right, there you go. So what do you want to do next?
All right, so let's do a quick primer, because of course we want to be on time.
How much time we got?
What is time but a man-made construct? We have approximately 5 minutes.
No.
So let's go, Nato. What about the art of NFT?
All right. So, there's the Beeple moment that didn't happen all that long ago. This is Beeple's first 5,000 days, 2021. It wasn't that, the fact that it sold for $69 million took everyone by surprise. Certainly NFT has been around for a while, but that was when it really came into public consciousness in a broad spectrum. Does everyone remember this moment? No? So there's an artwork by this artist, Beeple, who's been in the NFT space for a long time, who made artwork every day. And then he sold as an NFT the first 5,000 days as a singular image of all of those. There's other artists named Pak. We'll get through some of this in my panel. There's a project called The Merge, sold for $92 million. There's a project called CryptoPunks, which is what's called a profile picture project. We'll talk more about that. But one of the things that's very popular in the NFT landscape are images that you can use for your avatar online. And that project sold for $24 million. And then there's these Bored Ape Yacht Clubs selling for $3.4 million. So there's lots of money. And that's what gets all the press, and that's what all the stuff everyone hates. But there's other things to focus on. There's much more of this space that's invisible. And just like the art world I care about the invisible art world, just because I grew up not popular in junior high school, and I didn't like the popular kids. I liked all the unpopular kids. I relate to them, and they tend to be artists. And that antagonism stays with us for our entire life.
Nato, that's a whole other conference. Just so you know. Well, we're going to save that.
So there are around 770,000 unique sellers of NFTs as of January 2022. Think about that. That's a lot of individual people making things, selling them on the internet. More than half of the NFTs sell for under $200. Think about that. That's like that's not the public perception. I just want to kind of ground this in some reality. About 2/3 of NFTs only have one sale. A popular myth is that it's a world of flipping, which is you buy, you trade, you sell, and everything is kind of some sort of corollary of stock investment. But in fact, people are collecting art as NFTs and keeping them. The project, which I actually get into later by this artist Pak, is super interesting. The artwork itself was bought by 26,000 different buyers. So not one of the things you can talk about with NFTs is not only can tons of people make individual ones, but in addition, tons of people can buy singular. Just the world of collecting in NFTs is profoundly different. The idea that you can buy one thing by lots of people. And we will talk about that. So here is your, oh my God, if you want a corollary to the world at large, and if you want a corollary to the art world, here's the NFT world. This is the graph of how many people are making lots of money on it versus how many people participating, which we all know in our lives.
So what about the artists?
So here's the thing. Artists, what I think personally, and I think it's important for us to think about, is the bar is pretty low in the analog world when it comes to the rights of artists. Do you know this? If you look at the art world infrastructure, you can't even call it capitalist. I would call it feudalist. Somewhere around the Medici period, they built the Medici period, they built the infrastructure for the art world, and they kind of kept it in place since. It's just kind of stayed there. Not a lot of renovation or innovation. They're just like patronage, etc. I only say that because here in 1971, there's this famous thing called the Artist Reserve Rights Transfer and Sale Agreement produced by Sieglob and Przynski. And this was an effort to basically, the famous thing that happens in artists' lives is they are at the whim of the market and at the galleries. And no offense to galleries and markets, I got it. But what happens is the artist sells their work, it goes into circulation, and they just cross their fingers. They make more than their initial cut. And they hope even on that initial cut, they get some of it. we could get into the more details, but this agreement, which many artists signed on to, became extremely difficult to enforce. And for anybody that's been in art institutions for a long time knows that contracts and artists, unlike the music industry or film industry, in terms of the art world, they are not easy to enforce. So if the artist says, I get a percentage on that secondary sale, everyone's like, good luck, see a lawyer. It never happens. And I always bring that up because what happens with NFT landscape is, because it's on a smart contract, the royalty distribution gets spit out in a very different way. And it cuts out the middle person. The artist doesn't wait for a gallery to get the money goes straight into their wallet. Does this make sense to you? The other part, and let's not undercut what a profound transformative historical shift that is for artists, to not have a middle person. It's just appreciate that for a second. Because, and it's vast. Okay, let's.
All right, let's go chipper here. Let's talk about climate change.
Yeah. Well, let's also talk about speculation. I will say this too. So the one thing that's important to recognize is that NFTs came out of a profound economic shift, and that's called decentralized finance, DeFi, Bitcoin. I can remember back, oh my God, so funny, 2011, I was at Occupy Wall Street, ironically enough, hearing almost a proselytizing preacher man about Bitcoin. You must invest in Bitcoin. It will change everything. It is a trustless environment for currency. I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? They had a Bitcoin shop down in Lower Manhattan. I remember it so well. And I was like, I don't know what that guy's doing, but a lot of people I knew were into it, especially they were 15 years old at the time. But the idea that there is the blockchain technology that allows currency to move in a digital space, scarcity to exist, exploded. And the reason that's important is because that is the precursor to the explosion of NFTs. And if you think that the NFT world is full of speculation and all kinds of currency fluctuation, when historically has an art movement been born directly out of a financial revolution? So directly. You cannot underestimate the profound nature that has. And the giant numbers that popped out of it, we are experiencing a profound shift in the way currency moves. And this NFT phenomena happened right on top of it. So let's talk about the environment. Yes, there are profound problems. This is not a let's defend cryptocurrency and mining, because there is massive energy consumption. Ethereum, which is the programmable blockchain that followed up on Bitcoin, this is the one where a lot of the NFTs exist. Ethereum network uses around 87 telewatts of electricity, comparable to that of Finland. So the blockchain technology itself is massive. The carbon footprint of the network is around 49 megatons per year, comparable to Switzerland. Sorry. I've always felt like Switzerland never makes me blink my eye. I don't know what goes on over there. A single Ethereum transaction, however, minting an NFT, uses around the same consumption of a household in a week. Are you like, you mean an LA household in a week? Which household? But anyways, the network also tends to operate at a fixed pace regardless of the number of transactions. So that is the pace it's working at. Now, this is Ethereum specifically. Something to bear in mind is that there are also low energy solutions. Not all blockchains are Ethereum, for the record. That's the one that gets all the press. It's also the one that has all the money. And that said, there's a few things that people talk about if you're in the know. For those of you that are, you know that there's a lot of things people talk about. There's lots of side chains. Here's all their logos. They didn't give us any money for this, by the way. If you want to revert, you can sponsor us later. There, of course, some people do carbon offsets on the site. And then there's the conversation of what's called proof of stake versus proof of work. Currently, Ethereum versus proof of work, which is to say you get paid, quote unquote, in blockchain for having your computer run these. And at this point, they're vast computer farms that mine this stuff to solve these profound algorithms that produce the blocks in the chain. And the consumption of making those, mining proof of work, you get paid for the proof of doing that work with your computer. That is the high energy consumption. There is currently at work, I don't know, I'm not going on record, but if Ethereum keeps talking about like a waiting for Godot play, that at some point proof of stake will come around And proof of stake will cut the carbon emissions, the carbon footprint by like 99.8%. So it's a vast different way of working that actually doesn't mine, but actually kind of stakes within the blockchain itself. And you can see the kind of relative how much proof of stake would change things. Here's Bitcoin if it's the Burj Khalifa. And if you did proof of stake, you'd end up with a screw. And that's the scaling. Did you like that? Anyone been to the Burj Khalifa? But has not happened yet. So what should we focus on today? What should we focus on today, Esther?
Cats? No, artists, art.
I mean, so that today what we're going to focus on is a few things. And just to kind of spell out some key kind of framings of this. We have artists, and the artist realm, I want to say, this is what I've always felt like with the art world. Everyone gets all really like snobby or whatever. They're like, it's all bad. It's all this. And I'm always like, hey, have you ever been to an art fair or the art world in general? I'm always amazed how many people are in it coming from different sectors. It's just the same here. There's lots of different aesthetic tastes. Some people are newer, some people are older, but it is an explosion of producers. And it didn't come from the traditional art world. And you know what? God bless it. I've been in the art world long enough. That art world could use some, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I do think contemporary art at times offers a critical lens that the emerging world of NFTs could benefit from. Things like race, class, gender, sexuality, power dynamics, self-consciousness on medium, historicization of media, et cetera. Like this stuff, I think, are critical skill sets that can be used for an amazing growing market. So we're going to focus on artists. The other thing we're going to focus on is economies, and then also platforms and the players, because there's this thing called decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs. They are investment pools that allows people to collect collectively, and they are making a profound shift. In the analog world, you might call them museums collect, or you might have individual foundations, or predominantly individuals. But the digital space has things called DAOs that are members organizations or collecting groups that are profoundly shifting the way in which art's collected. And so we'll have a space for them, as well as the platforms, OpenSea, Super Rare, all these kind of platforms that are distributing this stuff is very different. So we're going to kind of talk about platforms, DAOs, artists, and hopefully at the end of this, holograms. Hopefully at the end of this, we're going to have a rich conversation. The one thing I'll say about the NFT conference that's important to me is I've been in the art world a long time, and I've never seen more questions on the table. And this world's being shaped right now. Like, you can get up in the morning, and then if you put some hard work into it in a year's time, you will have profoundly affected the space. Can you say that about the analog art world? No way. But you can in this space, and that's awesome. And so I think it's an important time to have questions, to think, and to have peers, because half of life is showing up. Thank you for showing up first thing in the morning. All right, well, that's what I got.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, not bad. We went 7 minutes over. So give it up for Professor Nato Thompson, everyone.